There's a reason you're reading these words right now. Not by accident, not by coincidence, not because you randomly scrolled through something and found yourself here. There's a purpose to this moment. You might think you just happened to come across this, but understand something. Nothing happens by chance in the presence of Allah. He is Al-Hakim, the All-Wise. Every single thing that reaches your eyes, that enters your mind, that touches your heart, arrives there because the Creator has orchestrated it. And the message that is about to reach you is one that has been arranged specifically for you in this time, in this place, for this season of your life. Think about it. Out of billions of people on this planet, out of countless pages of content, out of unlimited scrolls and endless feeds, you are here reading this specific message at this specific moment. Is that really just luck? Is that really just chance? No. This is a divine appointment. Allah says in the Quran that He does not do anything except with wisdom and purpose. He doesn't create anything meaninglessly. He doesn't send anything aimlessly. So if this message has reached you, it is because your Creator wants to speak to you about something you desperately need to hear. You know what's interesting? In our modern times, we've become so disconnected from the concept of Allah speaking to us that we think it only happens in extraordinary circumstances. We think Allah only communicates when there's a miracle, when there's something dramatic, when there's something that shakes the earth. But the truth is far more profound and far more intimate than that. Allah is speaking to you constantly. Through the Quran, through the Sunnah of His Prophet, through His signs in the universe, through the people He places in your life, through the circumstances He arranges for you, through the moments He creates for you to pause and reflect. And right now, in this moment, as you're reading these words, Allah is saying to you, I see you. I know what you're going through. I understand the weight you're carrying. I'm aware of the doubts that plague you. I know the dreams you've abandoned. I recognize the person you've become and the person you want to be. And I'm talking to you now because you need to hear this. You need to understand something about yourself, about your life, about your purpose, and about your relationship with me. This is not a generic motivational speech designed to apply to everyone in the same way. This is specific. This is personal. This is for you. Whatever you're facing right now, whatever battle you're fighting internally, whatever decision you're wrestling with, whatever burden you're carrying, Allah has a message for you about it. And the fact that you're here right now reading these specific words is no coincidence. This is divine communication. This is Allah trying to reach the part of you that has become numb, the part of you that has doubted, the part of you that has forgotten, the part of you that needs to remember. Many people spend their entire lives waiting for a sign from Allah. They wait for something dramatic, something undeniable, something that will make it all clear. They wait for a voice from the sky or a parting of the heavens. But what if I told you that Allah speaks in subtler ways? What if I told you that sometimes the greatest signs are the simplest ones? What if the message you've been waiting for has been trying to reach you all along, but you've been too distracted to notice? What if this moment right now is that sign? I'm going to speak to you about something that most people are afraid to discuss. They're afraid because it requires honesty. It requires vulnerability. It requires acknowledging that we are not where we need to be, that we have not become who we should be, and that something fundamental needs to change in our lives. But you know what? If you're here reading this, then you already know this on some level. You already feel it. There's a part of you that knows you're capable of more. There's a voice inside you that tells you that you're meant for something greater. There's an awareness that your life could be different if you just understood certain things and acted upon them. Allah doesn't speak in just one language. He speaks in the language of circumstances. He speaks in the language of hearts. He speaks in the language of reflection and meditation. He speaks in the language of consequences and outcomes. He speaks in the language of loss, because sometimes the loss of something teaches us more than the possession of it. He speaks in the language of success, because when something works out, there's a lesson there too. He speaks in the language of struggle, because the struggle itself is a form of communication. He's saying to you, you need to grow. You need to develop. You need to become stronger. You need to understand your own capacity. Think about the times in your life when you felt closest to understanding something profound. It wasn't necessarily when you were reading a book or listening to a lecture. It was often in the moments when you were alone with your thoughts. It was in the moments when you were facing a difficulty that forced you to look beyond yourself. It was in the moments when you lost something or when you failed at something. In those moments, Allah was speaking to you. He was communicating a message that you needed to hear. And those moments weren't punishment. They were mercy. They were divine communication. They were Allah trying to guide you towards something better. The language of circumstances is constant. Every single day, Allah is arranging circumstances in your life. And those circumstances are carrying messages. When you wake up in the morning and you're overwhelmed with tasks, that's a message about priority. When you encounter someone who irritates you or challenges you, that's a message about your own weaknesses and areas where you need to grow. When you experience success in something, that's a message about what you're capable of achieving. When you fail, that's a message about humility and resilience. Everything, absolutely everything, is carrying information from your Creator. But here's what most people do. They experience these circumstances, these signs, these moments of communication, and they interpret them through the lens of their own desires, their own fears, their own ego. They don't recognize the divine message. They get caught up in their emotional reaction to what's happening and miss the deeper wisdom that Allah is trying to convey. They're so focused on the surface of the situation that they can't see the spiritual depth underneath. Allah is speaking to you about your purpose. That's one of the main things He wants to communicate to you right now. You see, so many people go through life without ever asking the fundamental question, why am I here? What is my purpose? What am I meant to be doing with this life? They're busy with activities, busy with distractions, busy with the pursuit of things that don't actually matter, and they never stop to ask, is this really what I'm supposed to be doing? Are these the right priorities? Am I investing my life in something meaningful? And Allah wants to tell you, you have a purpose. You're not here by accident. You're not meaningless. You're not just taking up space and consuming resources. You have a specific role to play in this world. You have specific gifts, specific talents, specific abilities, and specific circumstances that combine to make you uniquely suited for certain tasks and missions in this life. No one else can do what you're meant to do exactly the way you're meant to do it. Your existence matters. Your actions matter. Your choices matter. But this is also why it's so critical that you align yourself with the Creator. Because if you don't understand your purpose from the perspective of the Creator, if you don't align your goals and your dreams and your ambitions with what Allah wants for you, then you'll spend your entire life pursuing things that feel important but are ultimately hollow. You'll achieve things that look impressive from the outside but feel empty from the inside. You'll get what you thought you wanted and discover that it doesn't satisfy you. Allah wants you to understand that your potential is far greater than your current reality. Think about that for a moment. You're not living up to your full capacity. You're not utilizing the gifts that have been given to you. You're not stepping into the role that you're capable of stepping into. And Allah is looking at you, watching you settle for less, watching you play small, watching you hide your light. And He's saying, I created you for more than this. I gave you more than this. Why are you choosing to be less than what you are? This is the conversation that Allah wants to have with you. Not a conversation about condemnation, not a conversation about punishment, but a conversation about potential, a conversation about awakening, a conversation about recognizing what's inside you and having the courage to bring it into the world. A conversation about understanding that the gifts you have are not for your benefit alone. They are meant to be used to serve others, to make a difference, to contribute something valuable to this world. You want to know what one of the biggest lies that Shaitan whispers to people is? He tells them that they're too broken to be fixed. He tells them that they've gone too far to come back. He tells them that the mistakes they've made are too severe to be forgiven. He tells them that they're not worthy of success, not worthy of happiness, not worthy of achieving great things. And so many people believe this lie. They carry this lie around with them every single day, and it becomes the lens through which they view everything about themselves and their future. But here's what Allah wants you to know right now. There is a battle happening inside you. There's a war between different parts of yourself. There's the part of you that knows you're capable of being better, of doing better, of achieving more. And there's another part of you that is afraid, that is doubtful, that is attached to old patterns and old ways of thinking and old habits that keep you stuck. There's the part of you that wants to transform, that wants to step into your potential. And there's another part of you that is comfortable with where you are, even if that comfort is painful, even if that comfort is limiting, even if that comfort is slowly killing your dreams. This battle is real. It's not something you're imagining. It's not weakness or insanity. It's the fundamental struggle that every human being faces. The struggle between the lower self and the higher self. Between the part of us that wants to regress, between the part of us that is attached to temporary pleasures, and the part of us that longs for something permanent and meaningful and real. And the reason this battle is so intense is because both sides have weapons. The lower self has years of conditioning, years of habitual thinking, years of established patterns of behavior. It has comfort and familiarity on its side. It tells you you've always done it this way, why change? It's familiar. You know what to expect. It might not be the best, but at least it's known. The higher self, on the other hand, is offering you something that seems far away and uncertain. It's offering you a version of yourself that you haven't been yet. It's asking you to face discomfort, to embrace uncertainty, to do things that feel wrong at first because you're not used to doing them, to say no to things that have always been easy, to say yes to things that feel hard. So naturally, the lower self is winning because it's easy, because it's comfortable, because it doesn't require much from you. And that's why so many people stay stuck. That's why so many people never achieve their potential. That's why so many people reach the end of their lives and wonder, what if I had tried? What if I had pushed myself? What if I had believed in myself? What if I had taken that step? But Allah is asking you right now to recognize this battle that's happening inside you and to make a conscious choice about which side you're going to support. You cannot remain neutral. You cannot stay in the middle. Every single day you're either feeding the lower self or you're feeding the higher self. Every single choice you make, every single action you take is a vote for who you want to become. And the accumulation of these choices over time creates either transformation or stagnation. The lower self is very cunning. It doesn't usually come to you and say, I'm going to prevent you from achieving your goals. That would be too obvious. Instead, it whispers to you, not today. You can start tomorrow. You'll be more ready next month. Once you've rested, once you've had more time, once the circumstances are more perfect, then you'll take action. And people believe this. They're waiting for the perfect time. They're waiting for the perfect circumstances. They're waiting for the perfect mood, the perfect energy, the perfect setup. But the perfect time never comes. The circumstances never become perfect enough. And you know why? Because the lower self is a liar. The truth is that the perfect time is now. The ideal circumstances are the ones you're in right now. The right moment to start is this very moment. Not because the circumstances are perfect, but because you finally reached a point of desperation or awareness that makes you willing to begin even though things aren't perfect. And that willingness, that readiness despite the imperfection, is actually what transforms people. It's not the perfect setup that changes lives. It's the decision to move forward even when it's uncomfortable, even when it's uncertain, even when you don't feel ready. There's a voice inside you that knows this. There's a voice inside you that's telling you, I need to change. I need to become different. I need to stop waiting and start acting. That voice is the voice of your higher self. That voice is coming from the connection between you and your Creator. That voice is Allah speaking to you through your conscience, through your instincts, through the inner knowing that you have. And right now, as you're reading this, that voice is probably getting louder. That voice is probably becoming harder to ignore. That's because Allah is amplifying. That's because this message is reaching you at exactly the moment when you need to hear it. But I want you to understand something. Hearing it is not enough. Recognizing it is not enough. Even believing that you need to change is not enough. Because so many people hear messages like this, they get inspired for a few hours or a few days, and then they go back to their lives and nothing changes. They go back to their old patterns, their old habits, their old ways of thinking, and then 6 months later, they're in the same place, feeling the same frustrations, regretting the same things, wishing they had taken action when they had the chance. The reason this happens is because transformation requires more than just understanding. It requires sustained action. It requires commitment. It requires the willingness to feel uncomfortable and to push through that discomfort anyway. It requires patience with yourself because change doesn't happen overnight. It requires compassion for yourself because you're going to stumble and fall and make mistakes. But it also requires the firm determination that you are not going back to who you were. You are moving forward, even if it's slowly, even if it's imperfectly, but you are moving forward. Allah is speaking to you about this right now because He wants you to win this internal battle. He wants you to silence the voice of the lower self and amplify the voice of your conscience. He wants you to stop postponing and start acting. He wants you to stop waiting for permission and start believing in yourself. He wants you to understand that the hesitation you feel is normal, that the fear you have is natural, but neither of these things should stop you from moving forward. Now let me talk to you about something that so many people struggle with. They carry their past with them like a heavy weight that never goes away. They made mistakes, maybe serious mistakes. They did things they regret. They hurt people. They disappointed people. They disappointed themselves. And they've internalized this idea that because of their past, they don't deserve good things in their future. Because of who they were, they can't become who they want to be. Because of what they did, they're permanently damaged, permanently limited, permanently less than. And I want to tell you something clearly and directly. This is one of the most dangerous lies that Shaitan uses against people. It's insidious because it contains a grain of truth. Yes, your past happened. Yes, you did make those mistakes. Yes, there are consequences to your actions. But the lie is in the conclusion that you draw from this reality. The lie is that your past defines your future. The lie is that you are stuck with who you were. The lie is that you cannot become something different, something better, something more. Here's what Allah wants you to understand about this. In the Islamic tradition, we have the concept of tawbah, repentance, turning back to Allah. And this concept is radical in its implication. It means that no matter what you've done, no matter how far you've gone, no matter how many times you've failed, no matter how serious your mistakes have been, you have the ability to turn back. You have the ability to become new. You have the ability to be forgiven, not just by Allah, though that is the most important thing, but also to forgive yourself, to release the burden of your past, and to step into a future that is not defined by what you did yesterday, but by what you choose to do today and tomorrow. Think about this for a moment. Your past self made certain choices based on the level of understanding, the level of awareness, the level of maturity that you had at that time. If you had known better, if you had understood better, if you had been more mature, you would have made different choices. The fact that you're reading this right now, the fact that you're reflecting on your life and your choices, the fact that you're even open to the possibility of change, means that you've grown. You understand things now that you didn't understand before. You see things now that you didn't see before. You're a different person than you were. So why would you continue to judge yourself by the standards of who you were when you were less aware, less mature, less evolved? Why would you refuse to forgive yourself for choices that your younger, less enlightened self made? Why would you insist on carrying the guilt and the shame and the regret when Allah Himself has made it possible for you to let it go? This is a profound mercy that Allah has given to humanity. It's a mercy that so many people reject because they don't believe they deserve it. They think that they're too bad, they've done too much damage, they've hurt too many people, they've made too serious mistakes. They think that the consequences of their actions should follow them forever. And sometimes there are earthly consequences that do follow you. You might have damaged trust in relationships that will take time to rebuild. You might have created problems that you'll need to spend time solving. But the weight of guilt, the crushing shame, the sense of unworthiness, that is something that you don't have to carry anymore. That is something that Allah is asking you to put down. One of the most beautiful passages in the Quran talks about this. It says that when a person repents, when a person truly turns back to Allah, their evil deeds are transformed into good deeds. Not just forgiven and forgotten, actually transformed. Think about what that means. The pain you've experienced because of your mistakes, the lessons you've learned, the growth that came from facing the consequences, the wisdom that you've gained, the compassion that you've developed for others who struggle with similar things, all of that becomes part of your goodness. All of that becomes part of who you are now. The very thing that you feel ashamed of becomes the source of your strength and your ability to help others and your growth. This is what Allah wants you to know. Your past is not a cage. It's not a label that you have to wear forever. It's not a sentence that you have to serve for the rest of your life. It's material, it's experience, it's information that you can use to become a wiser, stronger, more compassionate, more aware version of yourself. And when you've done that, when you've truly learned from your past, and when you've genuinely transformed because of what you've experienced, you have the right to let it go. You have the right to tell yourself, that was then, this is now. That was the old me. I am becoming someone different. That was ignorance. I have now gained understanding. That was one chapter in my story, but it's not the entire story, and it certainly doesn't determine the ending. The people who achieve great things in life, the people who overcome serious obstacles, the people who go from being stuck and broken to being free and whole and powerful, they all share something in common. They decide at some point that their past will not determine their future. They decide that they're not going to carry the weight of who they were anymore. They decide that they're going to invest their energy in who they're becoming instead. And that decision is the moment when everything changes. Think about people throughout history who have transformed their lives. They didn't transform because their past disappeared. Their past was still there. They had still done whatever they did. But they transformed because they understood something crucial. You are not your past. You are not your mistakes. You are not your failure. You are who you are choosing to be right now, in this moment. and every moment after this. And if you're choosing to be better, if you're choosing to grow, if you're choosing to learn and to improve, then you are becoming someone new. Allah is watching this choice that you're making. He's aware of the internal struggle that you're experiencing right now. He knows that part of you wants to hold on to the identity of being broken, being damaged, being not good enough. He knows that part of you is comfortable with the victim narrative because it means you don't have to take responsibility for your future. But he's asking you to release that identity. He's inviting you to step into something new. He's saying to you, yes, you made mistakes, but I'm not defining you by them. You hurt people, but I'm not imprisoning you in that guilt. You failed, but I'm not condemning you to failure forever. I'm offering you the chance to begin again. What are you going to do with this chance? Here's the truth that many people don't want to hear. And that's why so few people actually achieve transformation and live out their potential. The responsibility for your life is yours alone, not Allah's responsibility. Allah has already given you everything you need. He's already created you with the capacity and the ability and the potential to become amazing. Not other people's responsibility. They might support you, they might encourage you, they might believe in you, but ultimately they can't do it for you. Your responsibility, your choice, your effort, your commitment, and this is both terrifying and empowering. It's terrifying because it means there's no one to blame if things don't work out the way you want. You can't say, if only everyone else had been different, if only my circumstances had been better, if only I'd had more luck. Because while external circumstances do matter to some degree, the main variable in the equation of your life is you, your choices, your effort, your resilience, your determination, your willingness to grow. But it's also empowering because it means that you're not a victim of your circumstances. It means that you have far more power over your life than you think you do. It means that right now, in this moment, you can make a decision that changes everything. You don't have to wait for someone else to change. You don't have to wait for your circumstances to improve. You don't have to wait for better timing. You can make a decision right now, and that decision can set you on a completely different path. The choice is in front of you right now. You're reading these words, and at some level, you know that they're true. You know that you're capable of being different. You know that your life could be transformed. You know that you don't have to stay stuck. You know that you have the power to change things. So the question becomes, are you going to actually do something about it? Or are you going to read this, feel inspired for a moment, and then go back to your old life and nothing changes? This is the crucial moment. This is where it all depends on you, because Allah has sent this message to you. Allah has arranged for you to read these words at this moment. Allah is speaking to you right now. But what you do with it is entirely up to you. Allah will not force you to change. Allah will not force you to take action. Allah will not force you to believe in yourself. He will offer you guidance. He will create circumstances. He will remind you. He will send signs. But ultimately, the choice is yours. And you know what? This is mercy. Because if Allah forced you to change, if Allah forced you to succeed, if Allah removed your free will and made you do the right thing against your own choice, then your achievements wouldn't be yours. They would be Allah's. Your success wouldn't mean anything because you didn't choose it, but because the choice is yours, because the effort is yours, because you have to decide and you have to act and you have to persist. When you do achieve your goals, when you do transform your life, when you do become who you're capable of becoming, that achievement is genuinely yours. That's your success. That's something you can be proud of. That's something that validates the fact that you are capable, you are strong, you are worthy. But here's what you need to understand about this choice. It's not a one-time decision. It's not that you decide once and then you're done. Transformation is a process. It's a journey. It's a series of small choices that you make every single day. You wake up in the morning and you choose which voice you're going to listen to, the voice of your lower self or the voice of your conscience. You encounter a challenge and you choose whether you're going to retreat or push forward. You feel uncomfortable and you choose whether you're going to avoid the discomfort or whether you're going to sit with it and grow through it. You make a mistake and you choose whether you're going to beat yourself up about it or learn from it and move on. These choices individually might seem small, but cumulatively over time they create a massive difference. The person you are 1 year from now will be the result of these choices that you're making every single day between now and then. And the person you are 5 years from now will be the result of years of these small choices. So in a very real sense, you're creating your future right now with every decision you make, every action you take, every habit you establish or break, every thought you choose to believe or reject. And here's the beautiful thing, you don't have to be perfect at this. You don't have to make the right choice every single time. You just have to make the right choice more often than you make the wrong choice. You just have to be moving in the right direction. You just have to be willing to learn, to adjust, to try again when you fail. That's all that's required. Allah is not asking you to be perfect. Allah knows you're not perfect. Allah knows that you're going to stumble and fall. Allah knows that you're going to make mistakes and have moments of weakness and get derailed sometimes. Allah is asking you to keep trying. Allah is asking you to keep moving forward. Allah is asking you to believe that you're capable of being better and to act on that belief, even when you don't feel like it, even when the evidence seems to contradict it, even when nothing seems to be changing. Because that's what faith is, not just believing the right things. Faith is acting on what you believe, even when you don't have proof, even when you don't see immediate results, even when you feel completely alone in that choice. Faith is the willingness to move forward into uncertainty because you trust that there is meaning in the direction you're moving, even if you can't see the destination yet. So the message that Allah wants to convey to you is this: I see you, I know you, I believe in you, even when you don't believe in yourself. I see your potential even when you can only see your limitations. I see the person you're capable of becoming even when you're still trapped in the identity of who you were. And I'm asking you to take a step, just one, not the whole staircase, not the whole journey, just one step forward. Make one change, take one action, have one conversation that you've been putting off, start one thing that you've been afraid to begin. Reach out to one person, forgive one person, including yourself. Take one step and trust that I will help you with the next one. This is what Allah wants to tell you right now. This is why this message has reached you. This is why you're reading these words in this moment. It's not random, it's not coincidence, it's an invitation, it's a divine call to wake up, to remember who you are, to remember what you're capable of, and to start moving toward the person you're meant to become. The choice is yours, but the time to choose is now.